Anything you put your mind to, you accomplish. And you never back down, cause you deserve it. The light shines in you, cause you're the realest. And you walk by faith, you're optimistic. You inspire me, girl, you inspire me. You're so inspirational. Inspirational.
Thank you for joining us with your inspirational. I'm your host for Get Started Event. Today I have with me Dr. Ciara Mitchell. Welcome.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I am well. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so let's talk about some things. Let's talk about the doctorate and everything you had to do to get that degree.
Absolutely. So I just recently finished or defended my dissertation. I always, if I can take a step back, kind of talk about how I got here. You know, I'll take it back to when I was in college. My grandmother, who experienced a lot of health issues, diabetes, high blood pressure, she had kidney disease on dialysis. She just didn't do well physically, and so in my first or second year in college, my grandmother passed away, and that was really rough on me because I was really close to her. And I just hate how her life ended. I felt like she had a poor quality of life, but I didn't really know, really understand what was going on. But I knew that I wanted to do something to prevent other people from going through what she went through. So I started majoring in nutrition because I learned that nutrition plays a big role in health conditions such as those chronic illnesses that my grandmother had, and how it can prevent these things. And so I knew, like, this is what I want to do. And I remember saying at the University of Alabama, I was on the quad, and I was like, man, by the age of 35, I want to teach and inspire others, but I also want to do research and provide evidence-based studies that can help people like my grandmother in a practice setting. Little did I know, God planted that in my heart because my career just kind of lined up. I started out in Atlanta, and literally my first job, I was at a hospital, and I was walking on the stairwell, and a doctor pulled me over and said, "Hey, have you worked in dialysis before?" And I was like, "No." He said, "Well, you seem coachable. I want you to work for me." And I was like, "Okay." So that got me into the field with my grandmother. She was on dialysis, so I had to learn. I learned about that population, and I learned that they struggled a lot with, not only their diet, but just how to maintain their health, and that it wasn't easy. So I started seeing my grandmother in their faces. Like, I remember my grandmother felt the same kind of way. So anyway, long story short, life passes. I get married, I have kids, and something was in my heart, like, there's more for you to do. And I'm like, okay, what is it that I need to do? And so I remember writing down, do I want to become like a physician assistant or get my PhD? I could not decide. I wrote it down, and I put it on a sheet of paper and threw it. And I picked up, and it said PhD. And God reminded me of what I wanted to do that many years ago. And so my husband supported me. I started the program in 17 actually. I had a new baby. So I had 2 kids. And I was off to a good start, and then the pandemic happened, and that slowed everything down. Not only did the pandemic happen, but I got pregnant with baby number 3. And it just seems like it was one thing after the next. But through all of that, with the support of my husband, through a lot of prayer, through a lot of encouragement, I made it. And so now I am teaching something that I envisioned to do, and I'm doing nutrition research.
And so with the doctorate, is it more work, or did you get a less load of work?
Well, with it, when I was pursuing it, absolutely a lot more work. Just trying to figure it in, being a mom, being a wife. I spent a lot of times on Saturdays. I was up 1-2 o'clock in the morning. My last 6 months of my finishing my degree, I spent it at the YMCA. It was like such a blessing because they watched my kids for 2 hours, and I'll spend 2 hours working on my paper. So now that I'm done, it's just like a big weight off of my shoulder. I can spend more quality time with my children. I'm not like, oh my goodness, I got another assignment to do. So It's been great.
And so with being married, how do you find the time to keep that love connection going? Like, what do y'all do to kind of like, stay connected, because you're working and he's working, then you have children. So how do y'all add the love in there?
It is challenging. And one thing, the word that comes to mind is being intentional. And like, that is like a real thing. Like, it doesn't come naturally when you have a lot on your plate. Like, you're still being a mom, still gotta cook, you still gotta do homework, you got all of these items to do, and it's easy to kind of get in the thick of thin things. And so one of the things we try to do, which we're trying to get back to, was we do weekly date nights. Where we just catch up, and there's no kids, no interruptions, where we just try to stay connected as much as possible. And another thing that we do that I'm grateful that we continue to do, even when things are great and things aren't so great, is that we connect in prayer every morning. I texted him the other day and I said, I really appreciate that we do this. That's a small way we stay connected, but we're reminding ourselves that God has to be the center through all of this.
Okay. And so back to the doctorate. Now with the dissertation, what do you have to do, like, to, I guess, finish that and have it completed? And then what advice would you give to someone who is wanting to pursue getting a doctorate, and like, just the challenges that you would face to, achieve it?
Well, hindsight, I wish that I went straight from school, but everyone's journey is different. Mine in this case was drawn out. I was married and started having kids, and then I decided to pursue my doctorate. So the program is essentially you do 2 years basically of coursework, where you're just learning about research, you're learning about the field, or other topics you're interested in. And then this next 2 years or 3 years in my case, you kind of identify your research topic. And so at this point you become the investigator. You seek a problem and try to address it. And so that was something. I was lucky because I was already working in research, kidney research, and I had a population that I was really interested in, and I had the data. And so I had a question too. I used to complain about these people, like they're not, coming to their visits, what's going on? And so that was what my topic was. I learned about that population. I learned about their struggles with coming to doctor's appointments after being in the hospital, and and so that's really what your dissertation is. You kind of identify what contribution you want to make to the literature in the area that you're typically interested in.
Okay. And so let's go to the beauty. I like to ask women about beauty. Okay, so what do you do to, like, keep yourself, beauty, self-care, all those things? Like, what is your routine?
Yeah, I would love to say I have one. But I'm a minimalist. I wish I wasn't, but I like fashion, I like style, but honestly, practically, I don't have the time to do all of that. So the bare minimum is, stay clean, wash my face. My makeup is just so bare sometimes. I know you're probably like, I just need a simple bottle of touch. Like, no, this mama is struggling when it comes to that category. But I'm really like basic right now. The main thing I try to do in terms of makeup is my eyebrows and eyeliner. And if I'm going somewhere nice, I might put on foundation. But yeah.
And so do you have like hobbies that you do on the side, besides like, wanting to help people with nutrition and food? Like, is there something else that you love to do?
Yeah, I love, I like to garden. That's been fun for me. I'm now a house plant mom. And my collection is growing. I think I think about 7, 8, maybe 9 plants in the house. And so that's been pretty cool, just seeing them grow. And then when they're having issues and problems, I'm like, well, what's wrong with it? Why are you turning yellow? Or you're not in the right space? And so that's one of the things I like to do. I'm an outdoorsy person. I have kids that are very active. So we do things like go to the park. I love connecting with my kids. We would hike sometimes. I like to hike. And I like to travel too, and just really try different places. I like new experiences, and I like
Okay.
to bring people along for the ride. So those things bring me fulfillment when I can do it.
Okay. And so with the food, like you're gardening, do you eat meat? Because I know your skin is just so smooth.
I do eat meat,
Okay.
but it's not the base of my diet.
Okay.
I probably, if I had to give a percentage or proportion of my diet come from meat, it'll probably be maybe 10% at best. Yeah. But,
So you go a lot of times like vegetarian, and then like just eat a little bit. Okay.
yeah.
And so let me ask you, what keeps you? Because you sound so. I always say you sound so sweet and quiet. Like what keeps your mood and everything like kind of calm?
Yeah.
Because not everybody's like that.
That,
I know that I'm not.
my personality, I'm kind of like easygoing, laid back. I don't, I'm pretty adaptable. A lot of things do not bother me, but the things that do bother me, I have to take it to the Lord in prayer. Like I'm like, I need the Holy Spirit to help me in this area, because I know that God wants to give us peace, and He is full of peace. And so one of the things that I strive for is to receive God's peace.
Okay.
I recognize like this world is so temporal, and you're going to encounter people every day. But in my walk and in my struggles, I'm learning that people are flawed and they need a big God like I do. And so instead of always looking at people as a source of my stress, just know there's a real enemy and have more compassion for people because they too struggle.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're also a part of New Awakening Recovery Services. So what is your role with that organization?
Well, I'm on the board. It's the treasurer and vice president. So I kind of help with finances and just keep a tab of what's going on and things like that. Offer advice when asked, or suggestions and things like that. But I also play a role in terms of providing nutrition education to the women that we service.
Thanks for watching Your Inspirational. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, all right? See you next time.